Once upon a time, long ago, in the 5 realms of the dragons, specifically the 2nd realm of the peacekeepers, there existed a town called Clifftown. It was a nice place. Many in the multiverse called it the Dragon Realm's version of Mexico, filled with sand, cactuses, roadrunners, tacos, everything that you would typically find in Mexico. But Clifftown had a very special but dark secret. Beyond the town itself lay a strange and mysterious desert, which some said that death itself lived in. Nobody knew, because to protect people from death itself, a magical force field was erected just around the desert's edge. None could enter and none could leave. But what happens if those could break the barrier, get through the barrier? You would see the universe, you would see the truth of the world, buildings floating, everything not as it should be. You would see the world from the eyes of the dead. And that's exactly what I did in this Let's Play. Oops, my bad. So, years later, after seeing that, death itself appeared to me, and he was like, "Well, that's very rude of you, Mr. Death. You can't just be saying things like that. This is a kid's show." It's not really. We've been a sweary boy several times. Yes, I know, Mr. Death itself, but you can't just come all the way from the 5 Dragon Realms. I haven't seen it, and we can't see it again till November. The Reignited Trilogy is not even out yet. We don't even know how the death barrier is going to work in the Reignited Trilogy. Maybe they've actually fixed that problem so you won't have this issue anymore. Right, but that was 3 incarnations ago. Since then, I've defeated Malfoy, I've built the Skylands, I'm the 4th incarnation. That was 3 lifetimes ago, so you can't go saying that. Alright, fine. You know what? I'll take you on that. That's fine. But I want a code, though. That's going to be my part of the deal. Give me a code for it. No, you can't just make the deal like that. If we're going to do it, I have to get something in return as well. See? Compromise. It's fine. And then we say thank you very much, Mr. Death itself. You're welcome. So, this is the review of Flipping Death. Which, if you can't tell by that little intro, yes, I got a review code from Zoinks Games, but to not break the flow of the video or the actual opening skit, I'll bring that up at the end, but I got a review copy. Thank you very much, Zoinks Games. On with the video. So this aspect really has to grow on you, which is the graphical style. It's very unique, it's very interesting. It's... how would I best describe it? So think about the very fluent, cartoony rubber hose animation of Cuphead, and then combine it with something very stylized, like from the 90s, like Are Real Monsters or Invader Zim. So it's got that very creepy early 90s cartoon style, but it's not as stiff and stilted. Everything's very fluent and rubber hosey like Cuphead. And when I first saw the style, I'm like, I don't know about that. It's a far cry from their previous game of Fae, which was very beautiful. It's like you're going from this to this, and it's like, ooh, that's a graphical shift right there. And I mean, that's fine if you can pull the style off. And Again, at first, I was like, I'm not too sure. Mainly in the opening cutscene and the opening level, because it's like, you're not really doing anything. But then when you start playing with characters and their abilities, like the Pokemon, where that rubber hosing of the arm, and you see his arm stretched to push the switch, it's like, well, now I see that graphical choice. I understand why you went with this kind of graphical style, because the characters will move in such a way that emphasizes this style. And it's the same with the rich guy, where you can use his tongue to paint the boat. Again, at first he's just kind of standing there, not doing anything. You see his head moving and flapping like the Canadians from South Park, and you're like, I don't know. But then you see him flailing his arms as he runs. You see the tongue waggling all over the place when you're painting the bow, and it's like, now I see. You wouldn't have been able to achieve this very cartoony, wacky rubber hosing animation if you chose another art style. So at first it might look a bit weird, so if you're looking at this right now and you're thinking, I don't know about this art style, through visuals, I guess this is the best way to describe it. Through visuals, I really can't convey how it grows on you. Like, the more you play the game, the more the art style grows on you. And by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I like this. I like this art style. It's very strange to look at first, but as you play with different characters and their abilities that would not be possible without this very stretchy rubber hosing animation, yeah, I like this. It's grown on me. I definitely like this. So you get a pass on the graphics. As I say, if you're looking at it now and you're thinking, I don't know, give the game a chance, play with the characters, and you'll see what I mean by it grows on you. So overall, the graphics are really nice, and sometimes I will say the graphics do break, because everything can only stretch to a certain limit before it snaps back to its original animation. And if you break that rubber band, then you can have all sorts of wacky and crazy things happen, like the man's head getting decapitated. Oh, look at all this, we're just racking them up. Oh dear God! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! We killed him! Oh no! Oh! Oh! Truly, he's dead! Oh dear! Oh, it was all worth it in the end, wasn't it? Oh! Or when you fall down and you just turn into a tangled mess for a moment. Okay, the paint cannot be poked. Interesting. Oh! 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 Okay. I'm starting to see that maybe the whole cardboard aesthetic can have a few bucks every once in a while. Where the hell's the elevator? So it's always fun to see that happen, and you get a good reaction, because obviously you don't know the limits to which you can stretch a character, and if you accidentally break those limits because you don't know what the limits are, you're like, oh God! As you heard mere moments ago. So yeah, graphics, I like them. They grew on me. They definitely get a pass. They're pretty good. The music is also really good. Most of the time you won't hear it, as this is a very puzzle heavy game, and solutions later on, without getting into the gameplay too much, are very adventure style logic, like, oh, we're making an adventure game, and at first it is, you know, a key, a door, a banana, a monkey. The solution's very simple, but as you get later on, it's like, well, the key doesn't actually go in the door. The key, you give the key to the pirate who gives you a cutlass. You use the cutlass to cut open the monkey. The monkey has a shoe inside of it, and the shoe fits on the giant. You know, that kind of what was the developer thinking at the time style game. So the music, you'll hear it, and it's very nice. It's all very casual jazz. Like when you're in the underworld, you're gonna have a lot of trumpets or saxophones playing. Not a fast pace, just a bit of a slow, mellowed out, because you're going to be doing a lot of walking, a lot of standing still, and thinking your logical way to a solution. So you'll hear a lot of nice, slow trumpets or saxophones in the underworld. Now, she wants us to catch her killer, and this is going to be how I'm going to end the first impressions. And like, her killer is on the hill, so I gotta navigate my way. Can the scythe go through? No, the scythe cannot go through walls. It would have been nice if it could. Well, that's good enough, I guess. Where am I going? It's also nice that I can... And then some nice light piano strokes when you're dicking around the town. Oak flower. Oh my god! He has like crazy extendable arms. Alright, yeah, we gotta poke that switch. Okay, no, this is good. Move the paint to the other side. We can do this. And that's really all you're gonna hear. There are some more intense scenes where the music will pick up, and again, it's nice to listen to, but for the most part the music is little more than an aside, especially again in the later stages where it's no longer a key, a door, a banana, a monkey. It's, so what do you think the developer was thinking at the time? Because I had several instances where, to me, my logic was correct, but that's not the developer's logic, as there is only one solution to the puzzle. And then when I had to deduce what their logic was, I was sitting there kind of thinking about it, you know, just doing other random things, and the music just kind of became very nice background noise, but still background noise nonetheless. So while it is nice, it's something that you won't really be paying too much attention to, as you'll be in your own mind palace saying, so what is the solution? Let's get the whiteboard out. What's the solution? If it's not that, what do you think it is, Spyro? I don't know, Spyro. Maybe this? He could be thinking that. So yeah, music, it's really nice. It's nice and laid back, smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz will be deployed.
Smooth jazz?
Are you ready for some smooth jazz?
What? Aw, shit.
It's so smooth, I can't take it.
Oh, man, I'm slipping all over the place.
I'm just flying out of this chair.
Oh, yeah. Now it's... Whoa.
Well, that's depressing.
Not quite. Nearly, but not quite that level of smooth jazz. But yeah, it's still really nice, laid back, casual jazz. And it's just there to provide a nice little bit of background music to fill the void while you try and deduce the solution. Speaking of the solution, let's move on to the gameplay, which is by far the most interesting and fun aspect of the game. So the game is pretty interesting. It's a puzzle game, as I mentioned, and this one has a bit of an interesting twist. It's a lot like Fez, which I do hold in high regard, where it's not just puzzle solving on one dimension, but 2 dimensions. So like in Fez, where you rotate the world to change your own perspective, so it's like looking at it from this angle, it's this, but then you rotate the world and it's like, I see now, I see where all of these pieces come into play. It's a bit like that, except rather than rotating the world, you're just flipping between the land of the living and the land of the dead. And you need to use both worlds in order to solve the puzzle. So your tutorial mission, like mission 0 where you're outright told what to do, is you have to paint the old captain's boat. You see a paint can, on a string, you have to figure out how to knock it down, and there is a man that can poke things next to it. You poke the paint can down, but how do you move it? There is nothing in the world of the living that helps, but when you flick to the worlds of the dead, oh, it's alive, and the living monster will chase you for a while before the ghost hand takes it back to the world of the living, and then you have to figure out how to move the paint just down the hill to the captain's boat. So then you have to now go around the world of the living because nothing in the world of the dead works. So you have to use both planes of existence in order to achieve your goal. How you actually achieve your goals is pretty fun and has two mechanics. So the first mechanic is, in the world of the dead there are 3 little spiritual creatures of different values, and you will need these spiritual creatures in order to possess people, which is great. So once you have enough of the small, medium or large spirits, as more advanced people, like simple people like Pokeman that just poke things and that's all they can do, they'll require 10 small spirits because that's all they can do. But in the later stages, bigger people that have more advanced tactics or maybe more than one ability will require more souls or bigger souls. So like whereas Pokeman takes 10 small spirits, the police officer that can flash his badge to enter restricted areas and shoot his gun, 2 abilities, he takes 5 mushroom-looking larger souls. So you have to find the correct amount. But once you've spent this amount, then you can possess people's bodies and basically control them to your will, which is incredibly fun.
One leftover. I feel the episode was going on a great list. Well, Mr. Radicate, it might not be the song that you wanted, but this still counts, right? So bear my fury, take back your curse, release me from torment.
It's a happy moment, but I've made this assertion before that... Oh dear Lord! There are way too many puns in here, I gotta leave. Oh, no, Spyro. You have trespassed into my mind, and you're not getting out without paying the piper. You have to listen to my puns for 24 hours as payment for possessing me. I'm sure you'll love it to death.
But not only that, the thing that helps you out as you are only given one goal and no other hints. So with that painting one, for example, it teaches you this mechanic, but I failed to bring it up just so that I can bring up this other mechanic here. It says paint the boat. That's the only thing you're given. You have to find the paint, you have to take the paint to the ship, and you have to paint the boat, but it never tells you where to find the paint. It never tells you how to get the paint to the boat, and it never tells you what exactly you need in order to paint the boat. Your only mission that you get, your only statement is paint the boat. You have to figure the rest out for yourself. And when you are possessing somebody, you can read their minds. You can see into their thoughts and see what they're thinking and feeling, and this will play a bigger part in later levels as well, because for sometimes you might encounter a problem, and when you read someone's mind, you might actually realize a solution to the problem. So in our first mission, where we take possession of our tutorial guy, Pokeman, we read his mind, and if his name wasn't obvious enough, he likes to poke things, and it specifically says that he will poke anything, be it people, objects, like that giant lever right there, or animals. So animals, people, objects, he will poke anything. So let me get in your head.
There's nothing more evil than poking things.
Hey, don't poke things anymore.
Be gone, unwanted thoughts. I will poke this world until the day I die.
By reading their mind, that gives you a clue that this guy can poke objects. That lever is an object. You connect the dots. And when it gets to the later stages I mentioned in the story, where it's like it's no longer just key, door, lever, poke, person, monkey, banana, when it gets to those more, what was the developer thinking, I really don't understand, by my logic this should have worked, reading minds really does help, as you might be struggling, you might be trying to rub things on other things and just see what sticks, and then you'll find that one person, you'll read that one person's mind, and you'll be like, now it makes sense. Okay, now I understand, because you have given me the hint I need by reading the mind. So it's natural discovery. It's not like a lot of modern AAA games where they have to hold your hand and it's like, right, in order to do this mission, you have to follow this step, this step, this step, and this step, and this step. Nah, it's like, instead of giving you all the steps, it gives you the one main objective, and you have to possess people, read their minds, and figure out the objective and the way to solve it on your own accord. And I like this natural discovery. It really does make you feel like you are being properly tested. And with reading some people's minds, you can figure out also a later mechanic why you can't move some people, because some people, like the biker, know that you are in their head, like they are spiritually tuned to your head. So when you go into their body and you can't move it, they then tell you, because they are spiritually attuned, they know you're trying to possess them, and they're like, just get out, you can't move me because I know you're here, now leave.
Whoa! What are you doing, Mind Spirit?
What? How are you?
Well, besides the art of sweet motorbikes, this radical dude is also studied in the art of mental discipline. I'm not moving anywhere.
You're full of surprises, tiny biker dude.
No harm, no foul. Call me Bolt. Not today.
Same old. Running the pizza shop, hating my uncle, planning the...
Oh no, Spyro, get out of my head! I got enough voices in here, and I don't need one more adding to the insanity.
Spoil sport. Doesn't let me have any fun. Why can't I just control people's body at will? Why you gotta resist, Jasper? Why have you got to resist the influence of the greatest dragon in gaming? I would have thought you would have loved to have the greatest dragon inside of you. You just ruined my fun. But yeah, that's basic. That's the basic gist. That it's as I say, it's very natural to get the progression going when you find the right mind-reading person and get the correct hint. Although I will say, even in the later sections to do with this mind-reading, especially like the last 2 chapters, in the later sections, even the hints don't help. Like one of the last missions I had to do, I read everybody's mind in the world of the living and the world of the dead, and I just couldn't figure it out. Like, I was sitting there for ages, just like, I've read everybody's mind, I understand what everybody's saying, but I still don't get where I've got to go, and it did devolve into me just possessing each character in order and using their powers on the object until finally something broke and something actually works. So, it is good up until the end, because obviously the difficulty has to ramp up. It can't always just be, there's an object on a stick, there is a button, poke the button. Here is a key, there is a door. Obviously the difficulty has to ramp up, but I think what would have been beneficial is if they had multiple solutions to the problems. Because when you do some solutions, like, oh, right, well, I can see the solution and I can see why you would pick that, why everybody would logically pick that. But then other solutions, you'll have like this, well, I did this, and by the logic that I'm physically speaking to you, that should have worked. Like, one is to get a girl to her motorbike, and you've got to push her out of the window. Now, to me, I would just think that it doesn't matter what I really use, as long as force is applied to the lady that I've got to push out the window. It shouldn't matter what I'm using. In this level, there is a man that shoots meatballs out of a gun. He's a crazy chef. He loads meatballs into a gun. Okay, a gun applies force. Like when you get shot, that is a huge force being forced into your body. So if I shoot a meatball at this lady, the force of the gunshot should push her out of this window. That to me is logical. So I possess the meatball man, I take her to the lady, I shoot her, and nothing. And it's like, why? What are you asking for here? I don't see the problem. A tremendous force just hit this lady in the back of the head. That should cause a fall. And then you go to somewhere else and it's like, no, you need this guy. And it's like, alright, this guy has a very big bodybuilder's like arm. He's a very strong man. I understand that. But he was also all the way over there on the other side of the map. So why have I got to go all the way over there to come all the way back when a gun would just be as effective as a very muscly arm? So in the later sections, I feel like having multiple solutions might be slightly better. But overall, the mechanics are a very nice, natural way of discovering what you need to do. It's all very natural gameplay. Like, sometimes you'll remember characters. The Pokeman in particular is used quite a lot. And after 2 chapters, when something happens, you'll just be like, Pokeman. And you'll always remember some of the characters' powers to go back to because their powers are a lot more beneficial. Like, Pokeman, he has a poking ability that can poke many things. The little girl that bites stuff, you're only going to use her once or twice and you might forget she exists, so not really anything special there. So it is a very nice progression, or the progression is very nicely done. The natural puzzle solving and the natural discovery of hints is also very nicely done. And what makes it even more fun is it's not just restricted to humans. You can possess all sorts of animals. You can possess a dog that actually loves the meatballs, and at first you have to use the Swedish chef to fatten the dog up so that it will fall to the ground, and it's great, it's fun. I'm a doggo now, woof woof. And then we can go even more absurd and play as a retarded burb.
Boy, fires meatballs at 3,500 rounds per minute, and that's more than enough to turn you into lasagna.
Hello there, I'm Penny, and
Hi, I'm Sally. Are you my brain? Hi, I like to poop. Hi.
No. Well,
Guess I'm gonna have to
see,
add
I'm Sally. I'm a seagull.
4 stars movies to the list.
Yes, I gathered that. And what I'd like to talk about is...
Hi, I'm Sally. Are you my brain? I like to poop.
Never mind.
Poop, Sally.
Listening to.
He's listening to hentai.
As long as just
Oh man, that sounds like someone I know. And then, of course, you have the completely absurd, because a dog and a seagull, that's normal. You know, people have dogs. There's a dog in your house, people like dogs. People might have parrots or budgies. People have birds in their house. Or if they live by the ocean, people will see seagulls on a regular basis. But let's just take it to its logical absurdity and just have a giant killer whale. Oh, look at that, we're controlling a whale. And this is why I say that the serious nature of the ending really doesn't fit this comedic game, because when you start controlling silly dogs that love meatballs, retarded seagulls, and fucking whales, when you get to oh, you know, you died. You can't just revert. You can't just wind the clock back. You can't just control death, or you can't. I am death itself, and you were just a temp. You can't control death, and here's all this. We're getting into some deep shit, right? But all that deep shit doesn't mean anything. It doesn't hold any weight when 90% of your game has been wacky humor and controlling and possessing whales. So, it really doesn't work, and that's why I say the story is a little bit of the weakest element, at least in the later half, because it just doesn't mesh with all of the silly stuff you've been doing. But overall, though, the gameplay is incredibly enjoyable. It's fun to just possess people at will.
So bear my fury, take back your curse, release me from torment.
And it's fun to try and naturally solve the puzzles. As I say, a little bit annoying in the later stages, but in the early stages it's fun to read someone's mind and be like, ah, got it, I understand, I know what I've got to do. I feel so proud of myself figuring that out. So that leads us on to the final verdict. Not quite past Spyro, because apparently we just lost the story audio. But it's fine, because there isn't really too much of a story. There is and there isn't. It's kind of a means to an end. And honestly, the story is the weakest aspect. So you obviously die and you inherit Death's power while he's on vacation. He has been doing this job since the dawn of time, and he needs a break, because if you're doing the same job for 300 billion years, you probably do need a break and you can't take it. So he's going to take a nice vacation to the moon, away from a lot of souls. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, there is the lunar colony now after me and Nightmare Moon spent 1,000 years up there, but I do recommend the castle that we built. I mean, we had to do something for 1,000 years to keep ourselves entertained, so there's a very nice castle on the moon that you can relax in, Mr. Death itself. So anyway, he's off to the moon to have a vacation, and he leaves you in charge as a temporary Death. So you inherit all of Death's powers and his scythe, and that's how we do all the stuff that we've discussed. But something seems amiss. I mean, Cloak, fine. It's just like his cloak. It's a bit weird, but I can get over that design. But the scythe, let's just get a picture of a normal scythe. Yeah, the tips broke off. That's a bit weird. Why is the tip broke off? You're not taking very good care of the scythe there, Mr. Death itself. And we do I mean, the icon itself, let me just get the icon up. That is quite a spoiler, because yeah, the tip of the scythe is embedded into some skull, and we do find out why in the very second chapter. This skull has some sort of spirit inside it. Maybe the tip of the scythe is keeping its evil powers in check, but whatever it is, it has resurrected your now departed corpse as a zombie for it to be moved around with. So your corpse basically can do what it asks, so that it can't, because it's got no body. So yeah, and obviously you want your corpse back. I'll just let this scene play out.
Yes, sweetie. Yeah, I know. What? Oh, come on, Harold, I'm trying.
Baby, I'd like to give you a really good time on my wow.
But that's my body, dang it! Hey! I'd recognize it anywhere! But who is that then? And why am I talking to a skull? What is she doing with my body?
And the whole idea is to stop this skull and find out the truth behind who this skull is and why the scythe is embedded in its head, which is all very good. It's all very nice twists, but then the ending really ruins everything about the story and why it makes the weakest element. Because remember, we have just had a whole host of wacky scenarios. We have had spiritual bikers, retarded seagulls controlling whales. We have been through some absurdly comical stuff, and the ending starts to get a bit too deep for a comedic game. Like if it was a survival horror, and it was really trying to put you in this uncomfortable position, that would be fine, but it's not. It's a comedy game, and to just add that admonishing point at the end, it kind of just makes that ending like really weaken the whole story overall feel weak, as after everything is said and done, death controls death. He can control death. That's it, death, nothing else. He can't control life. He is not the giver of life, and nor can he control time. That is Father Time. Time can wind the clocks back. So it's like, you may have done a good job, but you can't go back. You can't just turn the clocks back. And it starts to get into some deep shit, like, if you died before your friends, your family, your loved ones, boyfriend, girlfriend, you're not going to be able to see them. You can't just go and tell them that you have died. You can't interact with them. You've got to stand there. You've got to watch them cry at your funeral. You have basically got to do all of this, and then it's like, how long do you wait in the afterlife? Will you ever see them again? It pushes all this stuff, and after going through all that comedy, it's like, oh hey, what a fun comedic time. Well, you know, you can't go back, and do tell me, what do you believe happens after death? Okay, that's getting way too deep. You're asking way too many questions that I don't think an audience wants to think about after we've just been controlling a retarded seagull to poop on someone's head. Like, you can't have that kind of tonal shift. You're either going to be a bit of a Silent Hill and you're going to push uncomfortable shit like that, or you're going to be a wacky comedy where we play as a retarded seagull and we poop on people's heads. What do you want? Do you want your serious tone, or do you want the pooping on people's heads tone? You can't have both. So, because of this jarring shift at the end, it just kind of makes at least Penny's arc feel a bit ugh. Like the skull arc, why the scythe is embedded in the skull, who the skull is, all that bit was good, but the Penny bit at the end where it's like, well, I'm not the controller of time, and I'm death, not life. It's like, well, that's kind of fucked Penny's arc, and that kind of ruins Penny's arc and makes at least Penny's part of the story just really weak and crappy. But at least the skull was okay. So yeah, on to the final verdict now. So overall, I would give Flipping Death a 3 out of 5. As I say, with the story, sometimes it can be quite jarring when it wants to try and tackle the slightly more serious aspects of death, when a lot of your game is grounded in a comedic style, so the story's a bit And sometimes I wish that the puzzles would have multiple solutions, as, you know, to me, that is clearly my logical answer and many other people's logical answers that's based in logic. Once I do the puzzle, yes, developer, I can clearly see the logic that you were going for, but either way, both solutions would have been fine, so multiple solutions to one puzzle might have also helped it. However, the visuals are really unique and really interesting. The music is nice and calm for when you're pottering around the town or the world of the dead and you just need time to think. And as I say, if you are into the Tales of Monkey Island, Fez, adventure puzzle series, then this game is definitely going to appeal to you. It's definitely not the worst puzzle adventure. What do you call them? Adventure puzzle? It's not even really an adventure like Monkey Island. It's not like a full puzzle game like an Escape the Room either. But whatever it is, Fez-like gameplay, going through a world while solving puzzles. If you are into this kind of genre, then it'll certainly appeal to you and you will certainly have a good time with it. Especially if you want to go through all the extra little side challenges and all of the I think 32 secret trading cards. I don't know if they lock a 100% bonus. I didn't get to 100% it in time, but I probably will attempt the 100%. I've got like 15, maybe 16 of the 32 cards. So yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, then it's definitely for you, and I would recommend it. But as I say, some of the solutions may be kind of aggravating, especially if you think of one solution but it's not, and sometimes the story can get a little bit cringy when this comedy game tries to tackle a more serious topic. But yeah, overall it's pretty good. I know it was a bit of a long time coming, this to Death Itself. I know, like, it's 2 weeks late, but it's Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. It's not quite Christmas, but you know how the Christmas rush is. We've still got a lot of games to go through. Like, you know, Mega Man 11 come out like a week ago. I think it's actually 3 days ago, but by the time this gets uploaded, it's going to be a week ago. And I've got people being like, wait, when you're going to review Mega Man? You're not reviewing Mega Man. Well, Photon has put up a Mega Man review. Why don't you just go over to Atomic Comms? He's played all of Mega Man. He's done it. Yeah, but when are you going to review it? Oh my god. Mr. Spyro! Mr. Spyro, the Paladins review still not out. It's officially released this year, Mr. Spyro, but... Yeah, I know. Let me just write down. But what about Call of Duty Battle Royale? In your Assassin's Creed video, you said that Call of Duty was shit. Just slow down. Okay. Slow down. That's what I mean. It's Christmas. So I'm just going to be reeling a lot of these off quite quickly. Like, checklist all the way through. I've actually got, like, a different style that I want to try next year. And I think it's going to work a lot better, because I was kind of doing 2 videos, and I kind of really want to try this. Like, definitely for Fallout 76, I want to try and do this new style, or at least take this new style into consideration. So you'll see that in Fallout 76, which is another one. What do you think of Fallout 76? I'm getting to it, alright. So yeah, I've got a lot of Mario Odyssey recorded. I didn't realise I actually had some Mario Odyssey backlogged. So I had the old stuff, and then I've got some new stuff. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of Mario Odyssey sprinkled without these reviews. But for the most part, all these weeks it's going to be like review, Mario Odyssey, review, Mario Odyssey, peppered in there, because it's obviously the Christmas season and there's lots to review, and there's only like 2 months left in the year before you have to start working on that top 5 and bottom 5. So yeah, we're gonna try and roll off as many as possible. So the next one is probably going to be Mega Man 11, because that's a 2D game, that's pretty quick. And then Paladins, which is almost nearly done, and you'll probably have some Mario Odyssey sprinkled in throughout the week. But for now, thank you all for watching this review. Yes, and thank you again for Zoinks Games for giving me a review code. It was very much appreciated. I did have a lot of fun with it, just as I had a lot of fun with Faye, and I can't wait to see what you come out with next. So give them a pat on the back, give them a round of applause for being great game developers, listening to the community, and handing out review codes to channels both big and small. So good job on you there, Zoinks Games. Really appreciated that. But yeah, so thank you all for watching this review. If you liked it, then do please feel free to leave a like. If you want to see more, then don't forget to press the subscribe button and ding the bell so the notifications come through. A big thank you to our special guest of Death Itself. You're welcome, Death Itself. And there are links down below to my Twitter if you want to see what I'm tweeting in live time, the public Discord if you want to come in and have a chat, and the Patreon if you'd like to support me further, like these 2 nice people. So we're just gonna fade transition onto the Patreon screen, and we have a $2 and a $10 from Samantha and Moon Knight, which I still, again, I'm not too sure what I want to do with the 10s, because all the little people, I want to have the names here and give them a shout out, but the big people, I want to, like, if they have a YouTube channel, say, hey, there's their channel, you should check them out as well. That's why you can see Moon's thing, but it also aesthetically doesn't fit this nice gold text against my purple scale. So still working out for the 10s, but if you want to be on this list at the end of every video, or mostly every video now, it'll be at the end of every review, but not at the end of the majority of Mario Odyssey for now, I've added it to my new batch, but I forgot that there was still some backlog, so it won't be on like a few more parts of Mario Odyssey. But once we get to the Wooded Kingdom in maybe 2-3 episodes time, then you're going to start seeing that. But if you want your name here, then obviously you'll be liking what I do and you'll want to support me further. So there's a link to the Patreon, potentially get your name up here. I'm rambling now. So yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to start, well, I'm going to upload this. And then I'm going to start putting together the Mega Man 10 review. It's not 10, it's 11. You can't count. It's simple numbers. Are you that stupid? Yes, I am. But yeah, so I'll see all of you next time.